Has the dressing room calmed down yet? I bet there's a heck of a feeling in there, wasn't there?
Yes, I mean, the atmosphere was amazing. Quite rightly, the boys were celebrating. They knew what kind of important, massive win this was. Yeah, in the end, those are the best kind of wins when the other team has no time anymore to come back. But obviously, we are extremely happy about the performance defensively, about the level of physicality that we showed today, bearing in mind that we only played 3 days ago at Brentford.
I can't fault the players for their effort, their competitiveness. They've done a lot of really good things, but we just lacked little bits of the correct things at the last minute, the things you would learn when you're a young player. You know, how do you see games out? And we didn't do that well enough in the last minute.
I think a draw would have probably been the fair result. You know, there wasn't really many clear-cut chances in the game. And to be naive like that at the end and get counter-attacked on in the last 10 seconds and give away a goal it's devastating.
When you win it such late on, it's an amazing feeling. And I said before, not much in football beats it. But we have to use that winning feeling and the game, especially in the first half. I thought we'd done all right. Could have been a bit better on the ball. Similar to the second half, but we managed to get the goal that we needed. We can use that as motivation now for the next games.
That's actually the fourth time that Rashford has scored a last-minute winner for Manchester United in the Premier League, and that's more than any other player in Premier League history, remarkably. Huge result for Manchester United. Not necessarily the free-flowing best again, but important victory nevertheless.
Very important. It was a tight game. Tactically, they settled the same way. They cancelled each other out a little bit. Harry Maguire was really impressive on his first game back in 4. Zuma was looking good for West Ham. Rice was superb again. Yeah. But ultimately, the quality United had to bring off the bench was what won them the game, and especially Rashford. Yeah. We saw a different energy about him today. There's been a lot of chat about his body language and his intent or lack of it. Today, within the first minute, he came on, I think, with 28 minutes to go. It's exactly what you want. Someone bringing on a sharpness, a freshness. He was running in behind, he was running at people, like the Rashford we've seen for the last few seasons, the confident Rashford, the one who causes players problems. Even in the box here, you know, it doesn't quite come off for him, but he's trying to commit people. I like this. Watch the strength there, bit of confidence in himself, causing mayhem in the West Ham back line. And up until the substitutes were made, and especially Rashford, the game was quite level. There wasn't really much in it. And then, of course, Martial come on. He's had some criticism recently, rightly so. He had a point to prove. He was running about, putting himself about, trying to get on the ball. The two of them linking up here. Whips in a decent ball. Ronaldo doesn't quite get on the end of it. But it gave Manchester United the impetus in the final stages of the game. And although West Ham did contribute and tried themselves to get forward, they left themselves open. And then the 3 subs combined for the winner, just what you want as a manager. No one moaning about being substituted this week. This pass here from Martial, perfectly timed, which we'll see in a minute from the replay. Simple tap-in from Cavani's pass, and there you go, on the side.
Close, but he looks on, doesn't he?
So, yeah, all in all, a good day for them, because what you want when you're this stage of the season, when you don't play so well, is to make sure you win the game.
Yeah. Great reaction there.
Man United there, you can see the 8 goals from the substitutions. Just shows you how important the quality coming from the bench is.
Yeah, well, they've had plenty of quality on the bench, no question about that. And interestingly, after the game, both David Moyes and Declan Rice bemoaned West Ham's, they called it naivety at the end. But is that also a sign of the fact that it's the progress in the club? They didn't want to hang on for the draw, they wanted to get the win themselves?
Yeah, but in the position that they're in, with a minute to go, you take a point at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
That's a good result for them. You go, you say, thanks very much, we've worked hard, nothing in the game. And they were right, they were naive, but they also had the belief that they could go and win the game. I mean, Bowen, first of all, it's a poor touch, but Souček is committed himself forward. He loses the ball there. Fredericks is now out of position because of that. He's come on as a substitute for Koufal, so all of a sudden Man United are on the break. But just watch Cresswell. Cresswell has got Rashford. Got him where he wants him, he's in a really good position, and then all of a sudden he puts his arm up, he thinks he may be offside, and then for whatever reason he just loses him. He's got to stick with him there and see that out, and you can see the anger and hurt from David Moyes, and rightly so, because Danny said there was nothing in that game, and I thought it was really harsh on them.
Yeah, indeed. Time for Alan's weekly therapy session. Guess who scored the winner the last time Newcastle beat Leeds in the Premier League?
Marcus Rashford now holds the record for the most stoppage time winners in Premier League history. And actually, what a time to score. I can imagine there's no better feeling for a player to score in stoppage time so late on. Big boost for him, big boost for United as well.
Yeah, look, he just needed confidence, hasn't he? You're never a bad player overnight, and he's just gone through a little bit of a barren run, and now he's absolutely flying, and you can see it again, the smile, the confidence in his interview. That's all he needed. He's a young player. Sometimes it's probably a big expectation on him because he's come through on the scene and now he's maybe plateaued a bit, and that's expected, and just needs that run again, and he's got it, which is great. And no better feeling, as you said, scoring late on.
Yeah, and that would have done him the world of good because he hasn't had the best season, has he?
No, and he's been criticised a fair bit, like a lot of the Manchester United players have. And the only way you can fight back is to score goals, particularly in his position where he is. And he's got a lot of players up there, whether it was Cavani, was going to get the headlines today, Ronaldo, Greenwood, of course, Bruno Fernandes. But he scored against Brentford and he scored again tonight. And it wasn't a great performance. It was a great result. And you see Fredericks here, who came on to try and stop that, just goes diving in on Ronaldo. If he keeps on running back with Cavani and Martial, he's got a great opportunity of cutting the ball out, but he goes diving in for some explicable reason. I've no idea, but you have to give credit to Rangnick for once because he's put every forward that he's got on the bench on. And we haven't seen the lines for that, but we trust VAR in saying that Cavani is onside and it's a lovely ball in and Rashford's in the right place to get a simple tap in.
Well, seeing as you asked, we've got you the lines.
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. Well, we knew it was onside, didn't we? The West Ham fans will say it won't be, but you know, you just go with the goal because VAR, what we trust it. But this was the challenge there, going to ground and allowing Martial and Cavani to do that, put it on a play for Rashford.
Well, it's a hugely significant result for them because actually it lifts Manchester United into the top 4 for the first time since October. 1 defeat in 10. Rangnick deserves some credit for that as well.
Yeah, he does. But when he first come in, I remember being on the show and we looked at the fixtures that they had, and you see them there. I think I can't remember who was on with. When every one of them should be winnable.
Should be winning, yeah.
Yeah, with the squad that they have. So, you know, by the Wolves result, but Wolves have been doing really, really well as we all know. But for me, with that squad, what they've spent and the players they have, they should be winning all those games and maybe winning those games in a better manner. However, we're in a results-orientated business. They need the Champions League spot, so they look like they're on the way to that if they keep performing or getting the results in the way they are.
And they might well do so because actually they have a favourable run on paper again, Macca.
Yes, they do. But when I look at them, they're just so haphazard at the moment. You never know what you're going to get with them. First half against Brentford, they were average and they win the game. Today, it was a poor game, but they win the game. And that's the most important thing, of course, it is. But from finishing second last year and buying the players that they did in the summer, I don't expect them to be now. You know, they're still playing, for me personally, like the 6th or 7th best team in the Premier League. Yes, they're in 4th, but they're in 4th because there's a lot of games gone away and postponed games. And when everything settles down, it'd be interesting to see where they are. But I still think if they want to finish in the Champions League places, they have to play a lot better than the way they are playing at the moment in time. But, you know, they're there on merit at this moment in time.
I think they're getting the results because they've got individual moments and brilliance. I don't think they play like a team. And I think that's why probably they're not playing as well as you'd expect. So I think they'll get results because someone will step up with something, do something with an individual bit of magic. I mean, that's got them on the run. But you're right, that the consistency and the joy of thinking, that's a great
West Ham
performance.
weren't great today, were they? I didn't think Man United were great, but all that matters is the 3 points in the end.
Yeah.
But, I still think that I don't know what their best 11 is, which is strange to say. I don't think anybody knows who their best 11 is at this moment in time. And so it'd be interesting to see what Rangnick keeps on doing. I still think he doesn't even know what their best 11 is. So it'd be interesting to see how they evolve from now to the end of the season.
Yeah, I think one thing we've definitely seen is that they aren't really consistent over 90 minutes. You just don't know what you're going to get. As I said, they're 4th in the table. Are they good enough to stay 4th, do you think? I'm getting the feeling from you, Macca, because you said they were they look like a 6th or 7th or 8th.
Yeah, I think they're good enough to stay 4th, but everybody needs to play better.
Yeah.
I'm saying this because They finished second last year. They bought Sancho, they bought Varane in, they bought Ronaldo in. So, of course, they should be consistent enough. They're just all over the place at the moment. You just don't know what you're going to get. So until we see a level of consistency where you think, you know what, they're playing really well now. They know the best 11. They know how to play. They're really clicking. I'll still reserve judgment on them.
What do you think, Karen?
I don't think they'll know their best 11 or click at all this season. I think it doesn't help when you don't have a manager that's cemented in place and we can move forward with this. I think up in the air doesn't help the situation either. Like Max said, they've got the squad they should be. I think the run of fixtures they've got next should enable them, and other people are just as equally as hit and miss as them. So, you know, it's up there, isn't it, really? But with the money and the players they've brought in and the squad they've got, it's Man United. They should be in the top four. That should be an absolute given.
I'd have more faith in Tottenham with Conte than I would with Man United and Ranić at this moment in time, looking at the bigger picture. Even Arsenal, to a certain extent, I think Man United have got a much better squad. Way, way, way better. But I've got more faith in Arteta and what he's building than I have with Ranić.
What about West Ham? Because West Ham would have been bitterly disappointed to concede so late on in the game and in the manner with which they conceded, Karen.
Well, yeah, when the goal came in, I think it was a ball played out to Bowen. They were really expansive. He lost it, then the header. So it was actually, again, mistakes from them, as you said. So I think David Moyes would be really disappointed with that in how they conceded, as you said. But I'm just a bit surprised they haven't brought players in, given where they're at, how they fell away from it last season. Could they've just added one or two? The squad is very thin. They rely so heavily on Antonio, Bowen, Rice. Could they have gone and got a couple more players and gone, this is our moment? Everyone else is kind of up in the air. Add a couple and really go for it. So I was a little bit surprised they didn't. So
they need it, don't they?
Yeah.
They look as if the squad needs freshening up, just a couple of new faces.
Yeah,
there's been new investments. So you think there must be finances there that they can go and spend, but they look as if they're a squad crying out for a couple of new faces just to do something. Because, yes, they've had injuries. Cresswell was back, Zoom was back, which is good. But I still think that they need to bring in some players if they're not going to just start to fall down the table a little bit.
Yeah, because as you just said, you mentioned that United have the squad, they have the depth, but West Ham don't. It felt like they needed someone to come on and change up the game. But what do they need? Where do they need to fill those positions?
I think they need some forwards because, as Karen rightly said, Antonio, everybody talks about him. Jarrod Bowen, everybody talks about him. Fornals less so, Lanzini less so. You know, they're the focal points. They're reliant on Declan Rice and Souček in there, don't they? I just think they need a couple more bodies in just to help them out at times. Like last year when they brought Lingard in, there was a spark, an instant spark. I'm not saying they'll get Jesse again, but there's a talk that Man United want him out because he's on a free contract. And if you could take somebody like that to the end of the season, just someone who offers you teams.